if you're new here, if this is your first time on my live sessions, know that this is a community of builders, right? So I'm sure you must have heard about AI. AI is everywhere now. It's literally taking over. There's a lot of layoffs. There's been a lot of new millionaires and billionaires created due to this technology. So after a lot of my trips, a lot of sessions, and after a lot of, will I say, developments, right? I came up with an idea to build a community here at home. And after also building a community with my friend Manoj from Canada and John is not here right now, but he would have loved to be here due to time zone differences. So after like training about 2,500 people in our school community, I found out there was a difficulty and there was like issues, right, for Nigerians and a couple of African countries to get access to school. And I thought about it like, why is a particular part of this world not catching up onto this technology? So I got the idea to create an AI revolution, right? And that's where we are right now. So you are the first wave, you're the frontier. And from this group, I'm going to create a lot of AI founders, AI CEOs, builders of apps, applications, whether you're at your workplace or anything, you're going to see how you can use AI to just make your life a whole lot better, right? So Manoj can also give a little description or just tell us a little bit about himself before we dive in, just to give a little bit of background to who we are and what we do.
You have said almost everything, brother. So we started this together and met on a Discord server, I think.
Yeah.
We were building voice at that time.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Early 2025. And then we said, why don't we have our own community? And we just started it. And get the popularity. We were doing voice AI, go high level, lots of things.
Yeah.
This year, Claude, because we are not teaching tools anymore. We are teaching the machine itself. Well, I'm in Canada and I serve local people here, local businesses in US, Canada. Now we are moving more towards cloud training, employee training, those kind of things. Because enterprises, have you read that in top 500 companies, almost 80% have adopted cloud right now. And that never happened before.
Yeah.
And
Crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure the roof. Yeah, for real.
They haven't launched their IPO yet. Then there's a secondary market where you can purchase their stock and stuff before IPO. And their valuation is 1 trillion now in that market.
Wow.
Anthropic is way
lot of waves.
And in my life, I never saw something like that. So we thought, why not we become partner with the biggest AI provider? It's not just a tool, right? They're giving brain, they're giving the infrastructure, everything. And they're killing softwares every day.
Yeah, every day, every single day. They brought an update recently. They released 10 financial services agents. So they have AIs that analyze the whole history of every financial services. And these are jobs that used to require people with $150,000 per month, right? These are tools that people would pay a lot of money for. Now, AI has released those same agents into the wild. So in this community, we're going to show you how to leverage AI, how to be the person to pitch this to companies, how to be the person to, solve these problems for companies. The first session, we built a website in under 10 minutes using Claude, like virtually just using natural language. I know 90% of you were there, right? And a lot of people used to wonder how like building websites were. Back in the days, you have to spend weeks. You have to code every single line. You have to write thousands of lines. But right now, all I just have to do is speak to my computer. I have a website. And there are hundreds of businesses out there that need website. They're going to pay nothing less than $1,000, $500, to get a website or to even revamp their website. Right? So we are in the frontier. We're the first people getting a hold of this technology. And when you know how to use it, you become unstoppable. I literally had someone the other day turn down a gig of $2,000 because the people, they did not really see the value. He told them, oh, I can do this. This is going to take this and this and this. And they said, oh, no, we can't. Fast forward, those people now are actually begging right now because they've seen the potential of AI. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is don't be a consumer. Don't just come in and watch this and, go back home and, just rewatch it. Start building. Right? That's what we're actually trying to help you guys. We're trying to help you overcome the place where we were a few years ago. we're just in the loop of watching YouTube videos, consuming content. And I'm glad a lot of you have started taking on action. But those of you that showed me the second brain. And last session, we created the second brain. And this session, I'm going to talk about skills. Right? So I'm just going to share my screen a little bit and we can get started. So this is us. This is Manoj, our Iron Man, and this is John here. He would love to be here, but he's not here. And that's me, Black Panther, favorite character. So yeah, this is our community, right? So we have a community of about 2,400 people around the world. If I show you the map, it goes really wide. We started this, just like you said, like literally a year ago. I think we crossed 1 year last month. And yeah, if you can see, this is the map. This is the map of the world. So as you can see, if you look down here, very little. But if you look around North America, if you look to the United States, you see a lot of people. We look at Australia, we look, Europe. So that's what really inspired me to take on this and, make this information accessible to everyone. But anyways, yes, that's just a brief. So we have classes here. We usually host live builds. We have our classroom. If you want to watch some of our courses, we have everything here, right? So take you from the foundation to building with Claude, building your own voice AI agent, which is what we started doing back in this. I was really successful, right? But we decided to not just limit the AI use case to just the AI you can talk to with phones and stuff. We decided to actually make them digital employees that can serve in businesses, employees that you can actually pitch to create for businesses for thousands of dollars. So that is what you're going to learn how to do here. You're also going to learn how to build your own products, build your own systems. In fact, some people here are already building apps. You had a student building a trading bot. The trading bot's already doing numbers, right? So I'm actually just trying to shift your mindset of before you needed tools to build, before you needed programmers to build, but now all you need is your idea. So your idea is the only limitation right now. You just have to think about it. And I'll show you right here how you can turn those ideas into real life. So without further ado, let me just take us here. Can you guys see my screen? Just let me know if you can see my screen. Awesome. So we're going to be talking about skills, and skills is literally what converts or turns Claude Code into an AI employee factory, right? Now, you might be wondering what are skills, right? Just like skills to be the literal term of skills. Skills is something that you can do, that you're natural at. Some people are skilled at playing ball. Some people are skilled at, playing instruments. Some people are even skilled at singing, rapping, all that kind of stuff. That's your skill. That is something you had to learn. That's something you had to understand. So I got you guys into the car. You installed your Claude Code. You wired it up with OpenRouter, just like I showed you. And you got your first prompts running. Started using tool. Some of you created your second brain. Some of you created websites with it. If you don't know how to do all of that stuff, you can always go back to the previous videos and see how I did it. So now, this session, I'm going to teach you how to create skill stacks that turn your Claude Code that you installed in the last session into a deployable AI employee. So by the end of it today, you have built a real client deliverable end-to-end. And by real client deliverable, I literally mean that at the end of this class, you're able to understand everything. You have something that you can actually offer to a client. So in the beginning of the session before, I had a conversation with a very curious individual here, and he created his second brain. He literally ingested his personal life, his hobbies, his business, right? His past customers, because he runs a cleaning service, right? Where, he's now using AI to kind of spearhead his company. So now, because he has a second brain, the AI is even telling him parts of his business that he can refine, that he can modify, right? Ways that he can grow his business further, because the AI literally knows everything about him, right? So he was curious. He asked me that, how am I going to convert this and kind of showcase it, to the audience, right? So what I'm referencing that is, by the end of today, you actually have something that you can offer to a client, to a business, right? And be able to deliver it end to end, right? So what you leave here with today, if you follow up, you have 6 skills installed, tested, and running on your machine, right? And these are reusable skills that you build them from scratch, and you can always use them anytime you want, right? You also have a complete client-ready project that's built using this full stack. And I'm also going to show you a cheat sheet. It's going to be like a free resource for everyone to kind of get the hold of, right? So we're going to take this to a business owner on Monday, right? That's going to be our task. It's as if Kun already knew that was where we're going. But yeah, even if you're not able to close a sale, just be able to showcase that you've done this. It's going to put you way ahead of other competitors, right? So we're going to talk about why skills matter, right? I'm also going to walk you through the skill creator, right? So there's actually a skill that's called the skill creator. With that skill, you can make any skill all with natural language. And like I told you guys, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. So everything I'm doing is something that you can also pick up. I'm also going to walk you through a skill called Superpowers. Also going to walk you through a skill called GSD, which is get shit done, and context mode. All of this stuff, you're going to see it in this session. I'll try to keep it as concise as possible. You know, I really respect your time and I want to keep it quick. I'm going to do a simple tech check before we start. So I'm going to open Claude Code now, right, and show you guys my lists. I'm going to show you my list of what I currently have. I'm just going to open a new terminal. Okay, I'm using this tool called WAR, but yeah, don't worry about that. Just pay attention to my mouse, right? So I'm going to type Claude, but this is how we literally turn it on. Just Claude, click enter, and it's going to kickstart, as you can see, right? So this is Claude. This is my agent. This is my mastermind. I'm currently the max plan, right? So I use them. So I'll just do slash plugin. When you use, anytime you use the slash, you see it's their command. So I'm just going to plug in, then lists. So it's going to show me all plugins I have. So I have front end design. I have Superpowers, the one I'm going to show you guys. I have Context 7 and all of this stuff. I have Skill Creator. I also have the Skill Creator tool. I have other tools here. Right? I'm just scrolling down in case you want. I have a lot of skills here. I'm going to assume if you open this, you're not going to see anything, right? Because I know some of you like to follow along, right? That's because you don't have them installed yet. So that's what I'm going to start first. So all I did was type Claude and I did / list, right? So before I start, I just wanted to show you what I have. There are two kind of users of Claude. They have the normal user that types prompts, right? Types prompt like, help me do this, help me do that. And they hope for an output, right? They probably don't know what type of output they are left guessing, wondering what the AI will create, right? And then what they do is they copy, they paste, they edit, they reprompt it when it's wrong, and it's just a whole lot of back and forth, right? So it's a linear value, right? By linear value, I mean it's just going a straight line. You prompt, you get an output. It's not really what you want. You copy the part you want, you paste it, you make some changes, you go back and forth. That's how a certain type of people use Claude. I was in that boat before, and I'm sure a lot of you are still on that boat. You prompt and it gives you an output. You're like, well, this is not what I want. Okay, you copy something, you paste it, you prompt, it gives you results. You reprompt when it's wrong, you go back and forth. Now, there are other users that they've come to realize that a lot of these things they're asking, a lot of these prompts are repetitive. They come and they ask AI the same thing for the same task over and over and over again. And then they decide that how is it possible that I can just package the whole skill and give it to Claude, right? So people like us, we compose skills. We don't want to be asking Claude to do the same thing over and over and over again. We don't have to be prompting and saying the same thing over and over again. So we compose skills, we compose plans, we compose memories, we compose review gates. So review gates are basically, it's just like a gate. Like if you want to go somewhere, right? And let's say at the gates, they only let people that are properly dressed. You're not properly dressed, they're not going to let you in. So review gates is just a way that reviews every output if it matches, the description. So we're composing skills, plans, memories, and review gate into reliable workflows. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create workflows that are made up of skills and all of this stuff. So what is a skill? You might have already understood my explanation that skills are a package way of working. So it tells about how you do a particular task, your conventions, your steps, and your standards. So you're literally breaking down everything in detail, right? So that Claude or your AI can understand it, even if they're just picking up for the first time, right? For my movie lovers, I'm sure you've watched Matrix, right? I always like using this reference because, Matrix was one of my best movies back in the days. So there was a part that Neo was going to fight, and Neo was like, I don't know how to fight. And then in the other universe, there was someone that was like, I got you. I'm wiring you up confused skills. So I'm going to download into you about 9,000 confused skills, and you're going to be great, right? So this guy downloads the skill, all of a sudden Neil is dodging blows, dodging punches, he's doing bicycle kick. And he's like, even his from his facial reaction is like, how am I doing this? Right. He was like so confused how he was able to do that. That's because he has a packaged skill, right? That was all downloaded into. So even if Claude doesn't know anything about what you want, if you're able to provide a skill, it's going to use that skill. So whenever you prompt, the prompt is just a request. You write it once and you forget about it, right? There are some sessions where I'm prompting and then some of my friends say, oh, I like to copy that. Can you send that over to me? Right? Because even myself, I will not remember prompting. But if I'm able to create a skill, skills are basically just prompts, but packaged, right? So a skill is a workflow. Claude will just pull it out like a file and automatically use it when the task fits it or when it is like needed. So a stack is a system, right? So when you add skills plus memory, just like your second brain, plus quality gates to check the output, then you have a system, then you have a stack. So this is basically what a skill is, right? So for those of you that wonder, it's just a collection of instructions, collection of things to do, right? So it just looks at the skill and knows what to do. I'm going to create a skill very, very soon. So Anthropic has an official skills document. I can't the GitHub. This is the source, right? You can just check it up time. What is inside a skill? So a skill is just a folder of instructions, right? So it's a folder of instructions, it's a folder of scripts and resources that Claude loads dynamically to improve performance on a specified or specialized task, right? So it's a folder of instructions, it's just there, right? Then whenever you need to do that, referencing like Matrix, right? Neo needed to fight, Anderson needed to fight. So when you need that task, that skill is now pulled out from the folder and is being used. So what is in that folder? So the folder, first of all, the folder is named after the skill. It could be design website, it could be clone website, it could be message clients, it could be anything, right? And it's stored in this folder, right? It's first going to be stored in your .claude, right? You create the folder called .claude, and inside that folder, you create another folder called skills. So anything that's inside of these skills is where the skills are, right? So a skill is going to have something called a skill.md, right? For those of you that know what MD means, it's just like a text file, right? You know how you open text file and you see text, but MD is formatted in a way that AI can understand. So it's just like a skill.txt file, but for an AI. So this is the only required file. This is literally the instruction file. So the skill.md, I'm going to show you guys in a short period. The skill.md is actually, the instruction. This is where the instruction is. So this is the only required file, right? It's going to have something called YAML. You don't need to understand what that is. A YAML front matter. I'm going to show you that in a short while. So this YAML format front matter is going to be on top of the skill. It's kind of like the description of the skill. And then the markdown, the MD, the body of the file is what comes below. So the front matter, for some of you wondering what it is, they have two required fields. So the first required field is the name, so which is the name of the skill. And the second required field is the description. So where should Claude use this skill, right? So just like you have anything, you're going to have a label, right? So you're going to see even for if you're buying drugs from the pharmacy, right? Every drug has the name and has the label. It has the prescriptions. Take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and all of that stuff. So that's basically what the front matter is. So the front matter is just the name of the skill, a description of the skill, and telling Claude when to use the skill, right? So the front matter is actually what allows Claude to pull the skill, right? So just like you go and you pull out a file, that's basically what the front matter is. Then the body is every other thing, right? Instructions on what to do, examples, if you have examples of the best ways to do it, guidelines, right? And edge cases. So you're putting every instruction inside the body so that Claude doesn't miss anything. And then there are some extras for those of you that maybe have references. Maybe you're referencing a book or a website, or you're referencing assets in your folder, or you're even referencing some code. So for instance, I'll touch on this later on, but yeah, it's all contained within a skill. Okay, show me a skill. So this is the simplest form of a skill. This is a real skill top to bottom. So I said front matter, and it kind of sounded confusing, but trust me, none of this stuff is confusing. Once you get the idea and the definition, that's it. So if you take a look here, this is the front matter. This is the tag. This is the label, right? So this is called intake tagger. So that's the name of this skill. We can actually create this skill if we want. Intake tagger. So Claude pulls out this skill, and the first thing it checks is this YAML front matter. So why it's called YAML is because it's using these 3 dashes at the top and 3 dashes at the bottom. That's how the formatting of YAML is. Then this is Markdown. The only difference between this is that Markdown uses ***. I'm going to show you why that is in a short period. So that's why I said don't bother yourself. Don't try to go too deep in it. It's really that simple. So we have the name and we have the description. And now this is the skill, right? Intake tagger. So what does this skill do? It classifies a client intake by industry and use when reading a new lead on intake form, right? So let's say you have a form and maybe you put it on your website and visitors come to your website and they need your help for anything, right? But let me just use a random, let's say an automobile fix or repair shop, right? They fix cars and stuff, right? So a client comes in and maybe they want servicing for a particular industry, whatever, right? So what happens is this queue, when a given client's intake description, return exactly one of this. So you're given the description that when you get the client's intake, when the client fills in their information, return exactly one of this. So where do they belong? So it's just tagging them, right? So do they belong to SaaS? Are they a SaaS company? Software as a service? Is it an e-com company? Is it a services company? Is it an agency company or other, right? But most of us are planning to offer this to clients in the future. Whenever a client comes in, maybe they fill a form. Once they have done filling the form, what this tagger is, what this skill is basically doing is just categorizing them based on, where they fall into. If it's a software company, it's here. If it's an e-com brand that sells things, it's here. If it's a services company that offers services, if it's an agency. So that's as simple as that. That's what this skill is doing. And now, he went ahead to give examples, right? Example number 1, if we sell B2B accounting software, then it's a SaaS. If someone said, I'm an online store selling handmade ceramics, it's e-commerce. Local plumbing company in Lagos, services. So inside the skill, you've defined what the skill is. You've also given the instruction. You've also given examples, right? So this is what makes skills very reusable, right? Because they're predictable. The outcome, the output is predictable. The thing with AI before was you had a big black box, right? You throw something in and you don't know what's coming back. But with skills, you make AI more deterministic, right? You make AI more predictable with its outcome. And you can replicate this on and on and on, and you're certain that it's not going to break. This is what skills enables us to do. And then you fed in a little examples, right? So example number 1, this is what the client will say. Like, we help B2B accounting software. We sell B2B accounting software. So if they sell a software, that means they're SaaS, software as a service. Online store selling handmade ceramics, that means you're an e-commerce industry. Local plumbing company in Lagos, that means you're a services company. So this is the output. So that is basically what this skill does. It takes in the input and gives the output. And these are examples to guide it. And then it gives some guidelines, right? Match on context, not just keywords, right? So you don't have to wait till you see software, or you don't have to wait till you see online store, right? From the context of the conversation, it already knows. It doesn't need to wait for services. For instance, see local plumbing company in Lagos, right? There was no keyword of services, but it was able to match it based on the context. If ambiguous, prefer the more specific category. So if it's a very ambiguous description, then just go to the more specific category, right? Default to order only when no signal is clear. So this is a well-defined skill, right? I'm sure you've seen on Instagram and all these other places, hey, I use this Claude skill to do this XYZ, and you might be wondering how complicated it is to build it, or you might see thousands of comments inside posts saying skill or Claude or whatever. This is literally what it is. It's literally just prompts that AI can reuse over and over again, so that you don't have to prompt it the same thing over and over again. I hope that makes sense, guys. So that's the entire spec. I mean, it can get more descriptive, right? Let's say this is a simple skill, right? It does not require the AI doing any other thing than just classifying. If we needed the AI to do something, then maybe we might attach a script, right? So what that script could probably do, I'm going to create a very simple one. I'm going to create a YouTube summarizer skill. Why am I creating it? So I can show you guys the usefulness of the script, because the script is not here, right? the instruction will only say, use this script, to do X, Y, Z, right? I'm going to walk you through it. So that's the entire spec. There's a skill called skill creator. You don't explain the skill you want to create, and it creates something like this. So you never have to go and type all of this yourself, right? That's how crazy it is, right? So this is exactly kind of file to generate. Now you know exactly what a skill looks like. So whenever you get a skill from someone, just go and open the skill.md and you see exactly what the skill does, right? So normally, if you're using the previous session, you say build a client intake form. And what you get is a bare HTML form with, just a normal form. There's no validation, there's no loading, there's no success, there's no error states. It's just very blank, right? It works in the sense that the page loads. When you do something, it loads, right? But you spend like the next 40 minutes fixing this, fixing that, fixing this, fixing that, you get a perfect client form, right? But if you have this same prompt with the 6 skills that we're about to load, when you say build a client intake form, it's going to build a component using design.md, which is a design guide, right? Each of the fields are going to be validated. So if, for instance, there's an email, there's a place for you to put email, I put phone number there, it's going to give an error that you're supposed to put an email, right? There's going to be loading and there's going to be all of this stuff, right? It's going to be perfect. That's basically what it is. So we're given the same prompt, build me a client intake form. But because we have 6 skills that are loaded, those skills are going to make the work perfect. So I don't know if you're understanding right now the value of this, right? So this was before you say build client form, and it just builds a normal form, right? Now you use the same prompt, build a client intake form, but because it has skills, it's going to review every improvement, right? And it also has a memory so that the next session, it knows that this component exists, right? So every Claude session, every time you're chatting with the AI, it has memory to remember what it did previously, right? It's also going to write test files, right? It's going to test the form. So it's so crazy that we have AI that can not only build, but test it before even handing it over to us, right? Before we had AI that would just create slop and give it to us, but with the right skills, you can tell the AI, after you're done building this, test it. If you get an error, go back and fix it, right? Write test files for it. Write review passes, review it and pass it only when it meets my standards, right? So it's the same prompt, it's the same model, but it's just a different stack, which we're going to touch on here. So skills are what turns your coding tool into an AI employee. We all know that employees do what they are told, right? Employees have a role, they have a description, they have what it is that they are paid to do, right? You can't have an employee assuming the role of a CEO. You can't have an employee moving to a different department to be a manager. An employee does the tasks that, was written in the job description, and it does that. So this is basically the secret sauce, guys. And I'm not gatekeeping. I don't like to gatekeep. This is what changes your AI into an AI employee. The moment you're able to understand this concept, the moment you're able to play around with it, right? You can even create your own skills. Then you have the secret potion, right? To create employees. And employees in the sense that you give it a task and it to do exactly what you give it the task to do. It's not going to guess. It's not going to come up with its own ideas. It's not going to, go out and bring any other thing. You have predictable output, predictable results, right? That's the whole point of today. Because I would have used today to build some crazy stuff. I will use today to build very interesting stuff. And by the way, they are coming, right? But because last session, I showed you how to get Claude Code running, I thought to myself, okay, now I've shown them the car. Let me show them how to drive the car. So how do you drive the car? It's with skills, right? So this is the whole point of today. This is not the fun part, right? I've taken you guys through the definition of what skills are, why it is needed, and like the skeleton of a skill. I literally stripped the skill and showed you the front matter, which is the title, and the MD, the remaining parts, the markdown, which is just text with asterisks, right? Which is understandable by the AI, by the way. And now we're going to try 6 skills and we're going to test them out. So this is where things might get interesting, right? We're starting with the skill creator. Like I said, I'm going to create a skill for YouTube, right? And show you how it works. Every skill you ever sell starts here, right? If you want to create a skill for a company, you want to create a skill for yourself, the first skill you ever need is a skill creator. It's more of a meta tool, right? For those of you who understand what I mean. So it's a skill that builds skills, right? So you use the creator to build the skill, you give the skill to the AI employee to use to do their job. So think of it like as a factory that builds the skill. So skill creator builds your worker. Once you can build the workers on demand, right? Your business stops being capped by what one person can do in a day. I have a lot of things that I could show you, right? I write content, I analyze YouTube videos, I watch, if you check my watch history, thousands of videos every day. I try to keep up with this AI wave, this AI revolution. But sometimes I'm not able to keep up with, I can't watch every video, right? Because that's going to be like 24 hours watch time. And I can't do that. I have a life to live, right? So I created a skill that anytime I give it a YouTube transcript, a YouTube link, not transcript, I give it the YouTube link, it goes to the YouTube, it takes the transcript of that YouTube, it summarizes it, and because the AI knows me, it summarizes it to the facts and points that matter to me, right? So in the skill, I told it that this is what I want. I already know this stuff, so don't explain it to me like just learning it for the first time. Just skip all the bullshit, fast forward to the part that you think will be good for me. For instance, I watch podcasts sometimes. Like I watch podcasts where someone like Andre Kaparty might be talking about something, and I don't have 1 hour to watch. I mean, I did have it back then when I was a consumer, but now I'm building more, right? So I just say, skip any part that's not relevant to me and just show me where exactly I should watch. Then the AI comes and say, okay, within minutes 50 to 52, he talked about this really interesting thing. I think you should watch that. And at the end of the day, I might just end up watching just 8 minutes, but I've gotten the whole idea because the skill summarizes every minute for me and just shows me the part that I might just want to watch, right? And it also rates the YouTube video if it's worth watching or not. So if it's not worth watching, I just skip it, right? Because I already know that stuff, right? So what is this skill? This skill is officially made by Anthropic. So I'm giving you a skill that was made by Claude, right? And already it has over 214,000 installs, right? So you're not going to be the first person to use this. If it's free, you don't need API keys. There's no usage cost. And composable skills you create work with every tool in this stack. So any skill you create will work with every tool in this stack, right? The most important skills are these 6 skills I'm about to show you. If you only get one running, get this one running. This is the most important skill. If you don't even put any other skill I'm going to show you to run, this is the alpha of all skills, right? How do we get this skill? To install this skill, this is what you need to do. You need to get this /plugin marketplace because it's going to be in the marketplace. Add Anthropic plugins official. So this is the first thing. If you don't have the plugin, once you get this, then you then install this, right? I already have the skill creator. I think I showed you and I think I showed it. I hope you can see my screen. Okay. So if I scroll down, see, I have the skill creator, right? But let's assume you don't have skill creator. Sorry, excuse me for that. You don't have a skill creator, you're just going to go here, right? Let me just copy that. Let me just copy that. And I also put it in the chat if you guys want it. /plugin. This is it. Click enter. And then the marketplace has been successfully added. So now I have the marketplace, right? So now I can install the skill. But I already have the skill. Right? I already have the skill. But let's just assume I don't have it. I'm just going to do the same thing I did just now. Okay. /plugin install skill creator. So you see, it now gives me, if you look down, plugin details, skill creator. Right? This is the description. This is the name rather. And then it creates new skills. It improves existing skills and measures skills performance. Use when user wants to create a skill from scratch. Update or optimize an existing skill. Run evaluations. You can run evaluations to test the skill to see if the skill is good. Or you benchmark the skill performance with variance analysis. So literally, this skill, this is the front matter that I told you about, if you remember, right? Name and description. Inside the description, you talked about what the tool does and when to use it. That's literally what this is. Skill creator is the name. Create new skills, and this is what it's supposed to do. And now the use is when to use it. So use it when the user wants to create the skill from scratch. We're going to be creating a skill from scratch. Or if you want to update a skill, optimize the skill, or you want to test the skill, or you want to benchmark the skill to see if it's performing well. So it's by Anthropic, like I said. So I'm going to install it for me, right? I'm just going to click enter. So if you can see the arrows already pointing at it, and I'm sure most of you are already doing it. So yeah, so the scheme has been created. I'm going to run /reload plugins for it to apply. So /reload plugins, and now it has all been loaded. So I have 2 plugins, 5 agents, and some other things I have. So now if I do plugin list, you're still going to see it there. I have lots of tools here, by the way. So skill creator. So /skill creator, create new skill, modify, and all of that. So if I click on skills creator, I'll help you create a skill. So now we started the conversation. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So, because okay, so let me just do it. Okay, I think this should do it. So I just put the command skill creator. What kind of skills do you want to create? A brand new skill, you're going to start from scratch. Do I want to improve a skill, or do I want to capture this conversation? So sometimes I might be having a conversation where the AI did a lot of things back and forth, and I don't want to repeat that conversation anymore. So it will just capture the whole conversation and everything it did, and then turn it to a reusable skill, right? So for instance, there's sometimes that I do some kind of brainstorming, right, where I have it do a lot of things, and I don't want to have that kind of back and forth when I'm doing another brainstorming session. So I just capture the conversation. So this is a very smart way to convert conversation into usable skill. But I want to create one from scratch. So I'll just click create from scratch. So user answered the question, what kind of skill do you want to create? Brand new skill. Great. Let's design a brand new skill. What should this skill enable Claude to do? So pick the closest fit. So I've been doing a couple of things. So it's telling me, it already knows me. So LinkedIn outreach helper, right? So something related to my project that's going to be drafting openers for me, is going to be auditing safety rails, and maybe generate the test contract. I don't want this skill. It's just recommending me, right, based on what it knows I do. But I can just scroll all the way to number 5, which is type something, and say, I want a skill that takes YouTube URL and summarizes the video and shows me the highlights, timestamps, so I can watch those ones, and rate the video if it's worth watching or it's just there, right? I click enter. Should this skill have testable outputs? Like, should we have file outputs, structured data, code, so we can run benchmark, or is it more subjective, like writing style and design judgments? So it's not asking me. I can say I'm not sure yet, right? Tell me about the skill and then record, and I submit it. So the AI took everything, all the output I just give it. If I can hide this. Just want to make the experience more enjoyable. Okay, great. So it's running, it's doing everything. Cool. That's a clear and useful skill. Since the output has a structure, which is the summary, the timestamp, and the rating, exactly what I wanted, it's actually pretty testable. So that means it can be tested. We can verify the timestamps are valid. So this is a way to valid to, and the rating is present. Let me lock down the format details before drafting it. So what format details do I want? So it's showing me, do I want it like this, like 7.5/10, what's watching for the framework section, summary, there's a 2-minute video, blah, 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 and then highlights with the timestamp. So the timestamp, click on it, it takes me to that particular place to watch it. Live demo, like you guys get the point. So it's giving me the format. Is this how you want the format to be? And this is important because, like I mentioned, right, the skill is not just going to have the name and description. It's also going to have instructions. It's going to have examples. So I'm assuming that the skill creator is going to put this among the examples. We're going to see the skill at the end of the day when it's done. So this is the compact dashboard, and this is what it recommends. You look that I said recommended. Or I can go to the second part, which is TLDR. This video covers this. The rating is this, information density this, novelty this. It's scoring it. It gives me full summary with paragraphs and even chapter notes, right? So this is for you if you probably, maybe you're doing a tutorial, or you want an output that kind of is like a book, right? Like a report, right? Me, I just want something that I can just glance over, and stuff like that. So I'm going to click enter. So what rating scale do you want? Do you want 0, 1 to 10, right? Or do you want a watch, skin, and skip? Or do you want the ratings from 1 to 5? I want from 1 to 10. But if I don't want any of this, if I want it to be A, B, C, or whatever, I can also type it here. And I'm just going to go with 9 to 10. Right? How should we fetch the transcripts? Now, this is a very important part, right? How do we fetch the transcript? It's not asking me, how do we fetch this transcript? This affects the setup. So it's giving me options. It wants me to get the YouTube transcript API, which is recommended. It's going to build a Python script. Remember I talked about scripts. So the AI is going to build a script that is basically building itself a tool that is going to allow it to get these things, right? So it's asking me, do I want this? Okay, since it recommends it, I'll go with it. But I used this one before and there's even this one, but I'm just going to go with this one. So I've answered all the questions, which is very important that you do when creating a skill. That way the AI understands what you want to do. And I just click submit. They create a folder called YouTube/video/summarizer. So that's the name of the skill. And inside of it, it creates a script. Inside of that script, it creates some other stuff. So it's asking me for permission to create it, so because it's a sensitive file, that's what it's asking for permission. So go ahead and do that. So it's done. It has created the folder, it has created the script folder, and it's putting the script inside. So it's writing the script now. It's drafting the skill.md. I hope you can all see this. So it's writing evaluation. So it can test it. It can evaluate if it's right. It's also writing a test, a smoke test, right? On a real video. So they're testing it on a real video to see if the script is working, if the skill is working. So this is the plan that it has created. It's working on the first one right now. So as you can see, that's written a lot of code, right? A lot of code. So do you want to create fetch transcripts, which is a script that's going to allow you to fetch transcript? Click on yes. So that's created that. So it wants to make it executable. I click OK. I'm just walking some of you through so you understand what's done. So it has flashed that out. So it's done with that. So that's written the fetch transcript. Now it's writing a test. It wants to test it, right? So it wants to run this URL. If I click on this URL, let me see what video this is. It's open. There you go. So me at the zoo by this dude, right? So you get the point. So it already picked a random link to try it. So he wants to test it. I say, okay, go for it. Yes. So that's what it's doing right now. It's doing the smoke tests. Smoke test the script on a real video. It's doing all of this before it drafts the skill.md, before it even creates the skill. It wants to make sure that the tool to take those transcripts actually works. So yeah, it's working. Just gotta wait for it. Asking for another permission. I'm just gonna keep saying yes until it's done what it needs to do. Yes. Just gonna keep saying yes. Okay. So when it's done, it's gonna get back to me. Just gonna keep saying yes. I could have used the skip permissions, right? But I won't advise that if you're a beginner. So that's why I'm doing that. So you can know everything that it needs to do. Right? So it's now fetching the transcript. I think it's working. So once it slashes that out, that means the script or the tool, for those of you that don't know, like a script is basically a tool, right? It's working. The name of that tool is fetch transcript, written in Python. Okay? So you wrote it in the programming language. Okay, so it made some changes to the script. Like you can see, anywhere you see the red line, is something is deleting and replacing with the green line. So do you want me to override this? Sure, as long as you know what you're doing. And proceed. All right. So it slashed it out. So that means it worked. So let me just open it so I can see. Okay, it works. It's done writing the script. It has tested the script with that video I showed you. And obviously the transcript came from the script. So that means it's working. So now that it's working, it's now creating the skill.md. Right? So guys, like I said, even if we don't get to, maybe because of time, touch on each and every of those skills, but I'm definitely sure we'll touch one or two of them, right? This is the most important skill. The ability to make skill is the most important skill, right? I'm sure when I started this class, some of you were like, oh, how would I start writing the YAML? How will I start creating all of this stuff? Like, you don't need to know how to create all of this stuff. You just need to know what makes it, right? You need to know the skeleton of it so that when you use the skill creator, you then know what to do. Okay, so great. So this is the skill. Let me click on create first. So once it's done creating the draft, we're going to read it together. Okay, I think it's done. So now it's writing evaluations. So it's just writing tests to ensure that it works. Click on this. This is the skill. Let me open it for us to see. Great. I opened the skill so we can read along with it. Okay. So the skill is registered. Now it's just creating evaluations and proposing test videos. So it's writing test cases, right? That stress different parts of the skill. So when it creates a skill, right, it's now creating ways to test the skill to ensure that it is well documented, right? That it works well. Let's look at the right hand side. So this is when it is rendered, right? So let me show you the raw, because the raw is what I wanted to explain to you guys. So I hope after this class, you understand what the difference between YAML and the difference between Markdown. So the only difference between YAML and Markdown is these 3 dots. So this is the format for YAML. Let me just open it real quick, right? So what is YAML for notes? Not saying I'm a notes, but yeah. Okay. This is the simplest way to hear anything. So YAML is a simple text format. Remember I told you it's just a format of text used to write settings and configs, like my name is Anderson, this tools, this. So yet another markup. Yeah. So yeah. So the only difference back to me is this. And if I render it, this is the 3 dots. The 3 dots made it a line. So it's just a way to format text. Now if you look down, everything below this is now the Markdown. So anywhere you see just one asterisk, that means it's really bold. So if I look at the rendered, so the YouTube summarizer that you saw with the asterisk, so I'm sure most of you were wondering, why is the hash there, right? That is what it does. It just formats it. Anywhere you see 2, it means that it is a smaller version. Anywhere you see dash, 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 is just rendered as a bullet point. So this is just a very beautiful way to render the raw YAML, font matter, and the Markdown. So they're just all terminologies there. It's nothing complicated about it. Let's look at the skill it wrote. So the skill is called YouTube Video Summarizer. Look at the description. Summarize a YouTube video, surface the timestamps actually worth watching, and rate whether it's worth the time. This is the description of this skill. The next thing is use this skill whenever the user pastes a YouTube link. I also give example like youtube.com/watch, YouTube. All the other ways that they are, the links are broken down. Or the user asks to summarize or get highlights from, or decides whether to watch, or TLDW or TLDR. It comes up with all the ways that I could say, like I could just say, give me a TLDR of this YouTube link, or get highlights from this YouTube link, or decide whether I should watch this YouTube link, or summarize this YouTube link. So they use this was very descriptive, right? So decide whether to watch TLDR any YouTube video, even if they don't explicitly say summarize, right? The goal is to save the user from watching mediocre videos in full. So that's a wonderful description. So this is the first thing that Claude is going to pick up. Claude is not even going to look at the descriptions, everything below. It just picks this and says, is this the skill I need? Yes, this is the skill I need. The user asks me to summarize a video. So if this is the skill I need, what does the skill do? So this is where it comes in. YouTube summarizer. It helps the user decide whether to watch a video, and if they do, which parts matter. The output is a compact dashboard, right? Which was one of the things that we went through. An honest 1 to 10 rating, a tight summary, and timestamps for the moment that actually pull weights. When this triggers, what happens? So when this is now when it triggers. It triggers any YouTube link that's pasted with little or no context. That's any link like this. Any phrase that says summarizes video, what's in this? Is this worth watching? So it has created a skill that shows trigger words, things that can actually activate it. Or if I paste the YouTube link without any context, because sometimes I don't do that. I just copy the link, I paste, I don't even say jack, I just click enter. So the skill, like remember, I told you the skill is very specific. The skill is very informative, and you get predictable outcomes, right? So now what is the workflow? What does this skill do? Okay, when it's triggered, right? So this is what triggers it. What happens? Step number 1, first the transcript by running this script. It now gives you where the script is, right? It self-installs, blah, 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 no setup needed. So it has already given instructions on how to use the script. The script prints out this, it prints out the video ID, the duration, the language, all this other stuff, right? Read the transcript carefully before writing anything. Skim the whole thing. Don't grab the first few segments. It gives it enough information. Look for the actual thesis, the moments where new information appear, demos or examples, anything the user couldn't have already guessed from the title. This is well-written skill. I myself, I'm not sure I'll be able to be this detailed, right? That is why we use AI. AI handles the hard part, while we handle the direction, the directives. Rate it honestly, right? Use the rubric below, so it has a way to score it. Resist the urge to be polite. A 5 to 10 video with a 5 to 10, the 5 over 10 video with a 5 over 10 video verdict is more useful than an inflated 8. So it's telling you that it shouldn't gaslight you. It shouldn't like try to, make you feel good about it. So it's going to be honest. Pick highlights surgically. So 3 to 6 timestamp is the sweet spot for most videos. Each one to answer, why should I jump here? Not what topic is being discussed. So you get the point, right? So this is just the workflow, fed to transcript and all of this. Once it's done, it's now going to write the dashboard in this exact format below. So there's no guesswork. Anytime we use this skill, we know the output. So this is the output, right? So if the script errors, if there's no transcript, if there's no video available, tell the user plainly and stop. Don't speculate about content. Don't try to be extra, right? So this is how we control our AI. This is how we kind of put it, in its place, right? We give it good instructions. So like I said, it's just a prompt. Skill is just a well-packaged prompt with description, what triggers it, the workflow, and the output format. So this is how every video is going to be outputted. So this is going to be the rating. You put rating in a curly bracket, so you know that's a variable over 10. A one-line verdict. Anytime you see anything in this, it's just giving you like an explanation of what you should put in there. So what you should put in here is the rating. What you put here, just a one-line verdict. Then summary. So what you put in here is 3 to 5 sentences. What is this video actually about? What does it argue or teach? What did you find that the title doesn't already tell you? Don't hedge. So that's what you put here. The highlights. Then this is going to be the minutes and the seconds, right? What at this moment? Why does it matter? Then you put a star at the best moment, the best single moment. So any moment that's actually worth watching, the star is going to follow. And then other ones and other ones and other ones. And then optional, you can add a one line, skip if or watch if, and then guidance when the value is optional. So you can also add like a skip if this is not the type of video you're watching, or watch if, and then just guides you, and stuff like that. So just know if you're that audience. So the formatting rules, it also gives rules on how to format it. This skill is really great. In fact, I don't want to go through the whole script. It's already you also added examples, but I'm just going to breeze through it. So add timestamps, add one short sentences, add a summary, right? Exactly 1 star on the best moments, right? If there's no star, if there's nothing clear about it, don't put any star. And these are ratings. This is how I want it to be rated. 9 over 10 for rare, generally change how you think about something. 7 to 8, solid, has real substance that you can't get elsewhere. 5 to 6, if it's mixed, there's something here, but it's padded, surface level, 4 to 3, if it's weak, if it's mostly recap or it's just fluff, right? If you're not restating common knowledge, like I hate videos like this, And 1 to 2, skip, it's clickbaits, it's misleading. There are a lot of videos, especially with the whole AI buzz and bubbles. I've watched a couple of videos and I'm like, what the hell is this? I can't watch this, right? You're telling me that you're overemphasizing things, you're misleading things, you're just trying to send me to go and click a link and use this coupon code, and most of them, they get you halfway in the video before you've now found out that, oh, this is just a misleading video. So this is going to help me with that. Now give an example of what an output should, right? 8 over 10, you give the star, just give an example. Now, these are one in like 1,000 cases, right? So if there's no transcript, tell the user that the video has no transcript or it has been disabled, because there are some YouTube videos that the captions are disabled. Don't try to summarize from the title, because sometimes you let AI could do anything. Mention they could try the videos with the video captions on. Then, yeah, if it's a non-English video, the transcript falls back to whatever. If it's not English, summarize it in English, right? If it's a very short video, a full dashboard is overkill. If it's a short video, just keep the short stuff. If it's live streaming or the video is a premiere video, because there's some videos that are live and you don't get the transcript, there's likely no transcript yet. So you have to wait for the video to end. And then if there are multiple URLs in one line, process each one with its own dashboard and separate them by dash dash, right? So I could send like 3 or 4 YouTube links and it's not going to match all of them and, and put them together. It's going to separate them. So this is a wonderful skill, right? This is a very beautiful and well put skill. So I'm just going to take it to the side. I just wanted you guys to see it. So now it's asking me, let's test it. Let's take a long video. So Kapati, I don't know why Claude is recommending Kapati, but it knows me really well. So Kapati has this video. I'm just going to just take the URL and see the video for myself. Okay. I'm going to come back. I just want to show you guys the video. It's a 2-hour, almost 2-hour long video, right? Can you see? I won't have time to watch it. And by the way, if you guys go ahead and check out Andrew Kapati. He was one of the first founders of ChatGPT, then went over to do his own thing, and now he also worked at Tesla. So let's build GPT from scratch. So it's teaching you how to build like a GPT. GPTs were kind of common back then when ChatGPT was like ruling the whole space. Yeah. So the video is 3 years old and it's a 2 hours video, just test video. It's not like that I sent it to do that, but it's smart enough to know that we actually have to test the skill, right? So it's asking me, do I want this one? Do I want this one? Or do I provide my own URL? You know what? I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm just going to click enter. So that's the first test for a long video. The second test is for short YouTube tutorials, right? So this was just a 2-minute video on Fireship. I love Fireship videos. It's very funny and very comedic. If you guys know Fireship, it's very funny guy. He makes really cool videos. So this is also from 5 years ago, just because it's a test video. And yeah, I'm going to click enter. So padded video, low signal videos. The point is fairly blah, blah, blah. All those kind of 5 habits on successful people. Like, it's just common knowledge, right? I'm just going to click on it. So he wants to review my answers. See, I've chosen these 3 videos. Go ahead and, run the skill. Let's see the skill in action. So it's going to run the skill. And then we're going to get the output. I use this skill every single day. Like, why I'm showing you this skill is because actually a skill that I use in my everyday life. So if you have something you do in your everyday life and you have to prompt it over and over again, you can actually use this skill creator and say, hey, I don't want to be saying this thing over and over again. All I want to do is just give you a transcript or YouTube URL. Because before, I would need to go and get the transcript myself on YouTube because there's a way to do that. Paste it in there and say, can you help me summarize this? Tell me where this and this is, rate this for me. I had to do it for every single video. Now imagine someone like me that I have to watch like 20 videos in a day. I have to prompt that. I have to go and copy the transcript. It's very repetitive. But now all I have to do is just copy the link, paste it. I don't even need to say anything, but I could still say something if I want, right? And the skill does it for me automatically. So this is the game changer, guys. So imagine I had like an assistant and that's all the assistant does for me, right? That is just to give you an idea of what is possible, right? So if I know a particular role and I know what that role does, if I'm able to define it, right? If I'm able, let me open this while it's working, while it's testing over. If I'm able to define the role, right? Take the description as a job role. I'm able to define what that role does. If I'm able to name the skill, if I'm able to define when it triggers, and I have a workflow, right? I can replicate it with a skill. I can replicate any AI employee with a skill. All I need to know is just understand every single step that the human needs to do because I needed to fetch the transcripts, right? I needed to read the transcripts. I needed to read the transcripts. I needed to pick the highlights and also give a dashboard. For you, it could be every morning you take the records of your business, right? Or you take like the sales of yesterday, right? You analyze, you read all the sales, maybe people that have paid you and people have not paid you. Like, for instance, you're doing like a loan, right? You fetch your lists, you read for the people that haven't, paid, you reach out to them, and then you kind of tag that you reach out to them, stuff like that. I'm just giving you an idea, right? So I'm sure as I'm speaking, a lot of you already know where it's touching you, right? So I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, just to respect your time, I'll probably just touch this skill as one more skill, one of my best skills ever. I use it to create anything. I use it to create systems, softwares, AI agents. I'm literally just giving you guys like my day-to-day tools. Like the moment you're able to understand how to build, and the moment you become a heavy user of Claude Code, like I am, you see how fun it is. Well, the only thing that's not fun is clicking enter so many times, but I have a way around that. So anyways, it is done. I think it's almost done. So you can see it's been testing, been running the videos, it's been rating it, blah, blah, blah. So it's rating it, it's doing all of its thing. It spawned 3 agents, or it's actually spawning 4 agents. Claude Code is an amazing tool. So in order to do this, it knew it's going to take time. So it spawned 6 more agents to do this. So 6 agents are testing it in parallel, right? So over time, I will explain how this tool works. But yeah, it's done. So I'm just going to wait for the outputs. And then I'm going to take a random video. In fact, while that is working, I could just probably go to, yeah, I'll go to pick a video, kind of video I like to watch. And the party, what the heck? Okay, let me use, okay, this is, I'm not signed in here. That's why it's giving random stuff. Okay, I'll just put AI podcast. Okay. So this is the CEO of NVIDIA, right? Talked about AI. This is the owner of Google's AI, Gemini, DeepMind, right? The hardest problem AI ever solved. This looked like a good one. I talked about the protein shape. There's also NVIDIA's CEO. So I watched a lot of stuff like this. That's why you see me. I already know what it's all about. AI will lower. We are being casted by AI companies. The diary of the CEO. I'm sure most of you guys already know something like this. Let me see. I want to look for a video that I actually want to watch. This is the creator of Claude Code, right? Yeah, this is the head of Claude Code. What happens after coding is solved? Head of Claude Code. Interesting. You know what? I'm just gonna pick. This job won't exist in 24 months yet. This godfather of AI. Let me just take it. It's a 1 hour, 30 minutes video. I just come here, I share, I copy the link, and that's it. Don't need to open the video. I don't even need to open the video. It just looks like a nice video I'd like to watch. Copy it. So I'm gonna wait when it's done. Now we have something to test with, and then we move over the next skill. So I hope it's all making sense, right? Nothing technical. I'm not writing code. I'm just dialoguing with my AI, and my AI is doing everything for me. Okay. So I'm just gonna wait, give it access. It's running the evaluations, it's doing everything. So that was a skill creator, right? And I showed you guys how it works, right? So it creates the skill, builds a new skill with descriptions, with the SOP, with the standard of procedure, or an existing process. It tests the skill. So it tests the skill against example inputs like I showed you, right? It picked examples from thin air. It got those examples itself. I didn't tell you what to do. And it improves it. It takes an existing skill and improves it. And then it kind of runs benchmark. It tests it. They did give all the outputs and stuff like that. So like I said, we use it today to create one skill. So what I did was I turned a real SOP into a skill, right? So imagine you run a service business where every new client fills out an intake form, and once they fill that form, someone has to read that form, classify it, and route it to the department. That's a perfect skill candidate because it's repetitive and it's role-based, and it's currently done by a human in 2 to 5 minutes, right? So let's say every day someone walks into your company, at least you have like 50 people that apply for prompts. You have a human that's going to sit there for more than 5 minutes, if it's that volume, and have to read through the description and tag that person. You are going to turn into a Claude skill that can do it in 2 seconds. Identical every time. It's not going to guess. It's going to give you the same output. So that was basically what I did, right? But I didn't want to follow this. I want you guys to use it, right? So I called the skill creator like you saw, and we had a conversation. I told you to create a skill that does so, and so. But if you were to create that skill that I just showed, it'll tell you to create an intake tagger that takes a client intake description and return one of this, right? The classification logic should look at keywords and context, include 3 examples, inputs, and output in the skill, right? You don't even need to tell it all of this, but yeah, the more context, the better. That's it. You just have to type this, describe it, and then it asks you some questions back and forth. And when it has enough context, Claude Code is going to take it and run, right? And what did it create for us at the end of the day? It created a skill.md, the one I walked you guys through. So every future Claude session in any project, it will pull this automatically when it's tagging someone. Wherever I open my Claude, the moment I click, I send in a YouTube URL, it knows that it's supposed to pick my YouTube summarizer skill, right? So you're going to take your own turn. You're going to take out something that you always do, a very repeated task, and you're going to build a workflow for it, right? If you need suggestions, it could be drafting a follow-up email to a discovery call. It could be categorizing receipts if you're into business. It can be turning meeting transcripts into action items. I think I should do that myself, because after a lot of my meetings, I usually take the transcripts and paste it somewhere. I can actually have a skill that will do that for me, right? So don't overthink it. Just points. The point is defining a skill, right? That is actually what you need to do. Just define a skill. It mustn't be a perfect one, right? So that's what I've been able to show you guys, right? So I've been able to show you how to turn a manual task that used to be very manual for me into a repeatable skill. So let me just accept all of this. I think I am going to switch to dangerously skip permissions, but I'm not going to advise you guys to do that unless you know what you're doing. So let me just pause here, exit, so that I can be explaining things to you. For those of you that want to do it. So it's Claude -- dangerously skip permissions. So once you do that, it doesn't have to be asking you to say yes all the time, right? I'm just doing it because I just want to run through it. Yeah. So I'm going to continue where you stopped. I just resume the conversation. Okay. So it's going to be doing everything now to ask my permissions and stuff like that. So we learned how to compose a skill, and that's it, right? So the next skill we're going to be talking about is superpowers, right? This is a production grade output, right? So if you're used to using AI to write codes to build systems, right? It usually has a lot of bugs in the beginning, right? Just like I mentioned, when you're trying to create the client form, right? There are some things that the AI won't really think through because you don't have to create a form. So it's going to create a form. You might click on the form, it opens, it loads. But when you try to, let's say, put an email and maybe you don't put the @ sign, you notice that the form will still submit. If you on the phone number, you can put like 20 numbers and sequence and to submit. Why? Because it was not really fleshed out, it was not really planned out, right? You didn't, the AI just created what you wanted based on your really simple and very cheap prompts, right? Right. I think I showed that in the beginning. So if you say build a client intake form, sure, it's take it out to build a client intake form, but it's not going to make sure that it's well validated, right? It's not going to think about the loading screen, the success screen, because sometimes you have to say, okay, build a client intake form, make sure that the validation is complete, make sure it loads, make sure all that stuff. You're going to have a long prompt for you to get that, right? But if you use superpowers, even with a little prompt, a little prompting, with these superpowers, Claude is going to be able to build out production grade output. So I'm going to put the same prompt that I would have given the normal Claude, but the output are going to be so far apart, right? So when Claude codes without a plan, it picks the first solution it thinks of. It picks the most suitable thing for it, right? And that solution is really the right one, right? If you remember, for those of you that started with me from day one, I talked about iteration, right? So sometimes the first output of AI is not actually the best. You have to now feed it more, tell it where to refine, stuff like that. But now because of skills, we're able to just give it the first prompt and it does all of the thinking because we already told it what to do in previous sections, right? So this is one of the best tools, skills out there. I recommend it. It's a must-have, especially if you're someone that likes to build things. So most of these things, you don't notice it until the code is in front of a real user. And the user is like, this thing is not working. Or I tried doing this and it didn't work. And you want to blame the AI. But the thing is that the AI just picked the first solution. You didn't plan it out well with the AI. So as you can see, it gave a review. So it used the skill. As you can see, it gave me a dashboard, 9/10. Let me zoom in a little bit. 9 over 10, the canonical from scratch walkthrough of transformers. If you only watch one ML video, machine learning video, this is it. So capacity, this is a summary. Capacity builds a character level GPT from an empty file in 2 hours, training it on tiny Shakespeare. It starts with this. So it has done it, right? It did a perfect job. Where is it? I think it vanished. I think I closed it. Yeah. But it's done, right? You see, I never had to go back and say, press enter and all of that stuff. It just did it, right? So let me open it again so you can see it. So it gave me the output, right? As you can see, I can download it and I can also give a feedback, right? So 9 over 10, it gave me the highlights, the mathematical setup. At this time, he did this. And this is the best moment, the crux of self-attention. So everything. And I said, watch this if you've used transformers but couldn't draw one from memory, and keep the early big gram setup. It even told me where to skip if you've done basic neural nets training before. So what do you think about this? As I'll say great, and then move to the next one. Then this is the next video. So he sent a YouTube link with no other instruction. So I'll tell you what this video is and give a quick summary. Heads up, I wasn't able to finish the page in this session. So it's even telling me, this one didn't work as it was supposed to do. So I'm going off from the video ID, which I recognize. So it just gave me the video, the channel, the length, and just give me a description of the video, right? Not well detailed, but explained the reason. Okay, then I go to the next one, right? So I think this was a 2-minute video, right? It's just a 2-minute video. So yeah, yes, watch it. 2 minutes, accurate, opinionated about what actually matters. So the 2-minute video on React, the components are just JavaScript, blah, 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 blah. So you see, the highlight is 1 minute, 9 seconds. The pivot, the main reason you might want to use React is not the library itself, but the massive ecosystem that surrounds it. That's the whole take. That's what the AI says. So watch it if you're React curious and want the right scaffolding. Skip if you already write React. So it already gives you. So this is good. Great. I submit all my reviews. My reviews have been submitted. Feedback, great. So that is how you can improve your skills. So the evaluation, it tests your skill, you review it, you give your feedback, it takes that back and then improves the skill based on your feedback, right? So it's done. When you're done reading, tell me what to fix and I'll iterate, blah, blah, blah. So I'll just say, package it up and it's done. Anyways, so you guys get the point. So let's talk about this new skill because I think I've really put a lot of time here. Yeah, I think I also copied the YouTube link. So I'm just going to run that one. See, now it's packaging the skill, validating the skill. This is so fun, guys. Skill is valid, successfully package the skill. So now we have the skill running, right? The skill is already loaded. Try pasting a YouTube URL into a new conversation to trigger. So you know what? Let's have a new conversation. So to clear this conversation, I'll just click clear. So I've cleared. So everything, we're starting a new conversation right now. So I can just say, do I still have that link pasted? No, I don't. I have to go back and get it. Okay, just give me 1 second. I think I have podcast. Yeah, where is it? This one. Great. So I'm just going to copy the link. Go back to, yeah, I can just say, can you give me a brief summary of this? Paste it. Now I want you guys to pay close attention to what's going to happen. Skill has been loaded. The first thing it did was it picked the skill. Skill successfully loaded. So now it is running the skill. Godfather, it has extracted the transcripts. They call you the godfather of it, so you can see the transcripts inside there. It's reading the transcript. It's following the workflow. Can you see? It's doing everything. So the moment you understand what the skill does, you can already tell what is happening. So step 1, fetching the transcript. Step 2, reading the transcript. It's still reading. As you can see, it's still reading the transcript. I'm going to let it run. Once we get the output of this one, then we can do superpowers. But, I'm going to just breeze through superpowers a little bit. So here we go. 7 over 10. Hinton's clearest case for why AI is different from past tech, with a few framings worth the trip. So, as you can see, the 90-minute conversation with Geoffrey Hinton is a Nobel laureate, the godfather of AI. He's literally godfather of AI. So, it's a summary on why he left Google to warn about the AI risk. He splits risk into misuse, which is cyber attacks, and autonomous weapons. Yeah, we already have that right now. We have drones that fire, without permission, which is crazy. Election manipulation, echo chambers versus super intelligence going rogue. He talked about super intelligence going rogue, like the movies, and argues that the second is real but not certain. So anywhere between 1% to 99%. So the standard argument, right? This is the standard argument is this is not like ATMs replacing tellers. It's the industrial revolution replacing muscle, like replacing like physical muscle, except it's for cognition. The industrial revolution replaced muscle, but this one is replacing cognition. It's openly agonistic, that's the AI's take, about whether we can build AI that doesn't want to take over. Talks about all of this stuff and then gives highlights. So if I click, let me see. Okay. If I go to 7 minutes and 2, it talks about the two kinds of risk, right? Talking about the first risk being misuse, like us humans misusing AI. And then super intelligence taking over. The AI becoming too intelligent that it takes over, humans. That structures the whole interview. So it talks about, so the mother-baby analogy. Smarter doesn't mean in control. And the only known case of less intelligent thing controlling the more intelligent thing, just talk about something like that. Then Ilya Sutskever left OpenAI. Why he really left here? Why, I don't really want to talk about much of this. You want to watch the video, you can go watch it. But now, skip if you've already watched a couple of intense interviews. The misuse list, that is approximately almost 28 minutes. And the sponsors breaks are the padding. Watch if you want one source that bundles his strongest arguments end to end. So they're literally telling me that if you watch all these guys' interviews, I have watched some of his interviews, I can skip this because I already know what he wants to say. And he talked about sponsor breaks. So there was a part of sponsorships, like, sponsoring this and that. They're just paddings, right? So watch it if you want a source that bundles everything. So if I want a source, I could watch it, but I already watched his video, so I already know what he's about to say. And this summary has already given me basically everything I need to. So this is the clearest and simplest example of a skill. So that was it, guys. We created a skill. Look at the skill beside me, literally, and look at the output of the skill, right? Let me just take this. This is the skill by my right, and by my left, we have the summary of the skill. I'm going to go over to superpowers now, and then we can wrap it up. I'm also going to make this resource available so you guys can also play with the other one. So I've cleared the conversation. You want to get conversation, just /clear the conversation, you start a new conversation. So what ships should I use superpowers? You're going to get vanilla code, right? It's not going to be code first and then think later. Then when you point out the errors to the AI, like, oh, that's a small thing, I'm going to add this. There's no tests. So the AI is just going to create something and give you. You're going to be the first person to test it. When you test it and something is not working, you now say, hey, this button is not working. Hey, this is not working. When you build websites with this first approach, you're going to spend like 30 to 40 minutes fixing this. When I click this button, open the meetings. When I click this, do this. It works on my machine, right? And edge cases, right? Those edge cases are discovered in production. You remember when we looked at this YouTube transcript skill, you already talked about edge cases. If there's no transcript, tell the user there's no transcript. If there's this, so you already knew that some things may arise in the future, and you prepared in advance for that, right? So yeah, you don't get that. You just write it randomly, right? And then you become the QA team, you become the quality assurance, you start testing it, right? But with superpowers, what happens is you plan first. Superpower allows you to plan first, and then it codes second. It also writes tests before implementation. So even before it writes the code, it has already written tests. So basically what the skill creator did is basically an idea. If you understood what the skill creator did, it wrote the skill, you wrote tests. It took Andrew Kapati's long video. It took a video that didn't make sense as a second video. I took a 2-minute video. So he tested it among 3 things. Then there's something called 2-stage review. So it's going to review it twice, right? So if it passes the first stage, it has to pass the second stage before it is built. And then edge cases are caught before commit. That means edge cases are caught before you build anything, before you finalize the build. And you become the strategist. So with superpowers, you actually now sit on the director's seat and you take charge of everything, right? So what does superpower add? What does it add to your Claude? How does it give your Claude superpowers? It adds something called planning phase. So Claude is actually going to write out the steps that it's going to do. It's going to write out the files that it needs. It's going to write out tests before touching any code. And this is the main thing. I was speaking to someone the other day, one of us, here in the community. I told the person that 90% of all we do is in the planning phase. Because the AI does all the heavy lifting, all the work we need to do is actually just planning what we're going to tell Claude, right? And then test first. It's going to test first. Any feature that you add is going to test it. Just like, for instance, when the AI wrote the script for pulling transcripts, it had to test it on itself, right? Before, before I could say that the code is working well. So when a feature needs verification, the test gets written first. Then the code satisfies that. Then a two-stage review. The first pass catches obvious issues. So if there's any obvious issue, it's going to take it back. But if there's no obvious issue, the second card and pass catches the subtle ones, the very tiny details, right? Just to ensure that anything that's passing through those gates have been confirmed. Then skill composition. It adds dozens of focused sub-skills that compose with whatever you're building. So Superpower creates skills within what you're building. I'm just going to install the Superpowers first, and then I'm going to stop it here, right? So I'm just going to copy this, head over to Claude / plugin marketplace app. This good. So I'm going to click add Superpowers. So that's me added. I copy the next one, which is this is the second line to install it. / So that's literally it, guys. Like, you just 2 commands. So Superpowers install for me. Yes, click enter. So it's installing Superpowers at the install. So now I have to run this to reload it. So reload plugins. Good, that's been loaded. So if I do / Superpowers, yes. So these are all from Superpowers. Okay, as you can see, Superpowers. So brainstorming, writing plans, writing skills, executing plans, all of that stuff. So because we are starting, we are using it, we are going to click Superpowers. Using Superpowers. So I just click on it and it starts working. Superpowers is loaded. Ready when you are. What would you like to work on? So I've loaded Superpowers, and we're going to do the client intake form, right? And this is a very big community. Like, if I could show you guys the Superpowers, it's like a lot of professional engineers are always, refining it and maintaining it. So yeah, we've done that. So once installed, Superpowers activates automatically on coding tasks. So anything you're doing, it's going to activate automatically. So if I say add email validation to this form, it's just going to do this. It's just going to add submit. This is just code, right? This is going to give me an error before. But now that I'm using Superpowers, when I say add email validation to form, it's first going to write the plan. The plan is to add email validation to form. What files am I going to change in order to do this? I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this. What are the edge cases? Empty string. This is something that is very common before. Sometimes you might just click enter. You don't even need to fill anything, and the form will automatically submit. And then when you're on the other end to get the form, you're like, this form is empty, right? Why is this form empty? It's because the form did not make it required. When you're filling some forms and maybe you missed, put your phone number somewhere, or your email somewhere, and when you click submit, it's going to say error required. You need to fill everything before it's submitted. So that's the edge case. Empty string plus addresses, trailing white lines, multiple art characters, internationalized domain. So the AI is coming up with cases that, that could actually make this thing to fail. And then it writes tests written first, expected to fail until implementation lags. So accepts valid email and rejects any email that is not correct. So this is basically how Superpowers work. So the first one, you say add email validation to my form, it just adds the code. The second one writes a plan, decides what files to change, comes up with edge cases, things that may arise in the future, and then writes tests to test it. And only after those tests fail correctly, right, you implement. Then the review is there's going to be a surface pass and a deep pass before committing. So you gave it the same task, but one of them is 10 times more rigor, right? The user typing this will not see an error. If you type full at bar, I know back then when the internet wasn't really as effective, there's some website that you want to create something and they say, put an email. I'm like, I just typed something random and it lets me in. right? Because they didn't build it, engineers didn't build their form validation well, right? But now the AI is going to make sure that that doesn't happen, right? So the shape of every superpower plan. So this is how, just like I showed you with skills, I showed you the front matter, I showed you the MD. This is what every plan of superpower includes. What file am I going to change? Every part that gets touched is going to be named on front. So you see everything that's going to be touched. You're going to see edge cases. What can go wrong? It's listed before any code. It's not going to code and then we find out what goes wrong. It finds what goes wrong ahead of time. Test cases. It writes tests and is expected to fail until the implementation lands, right? Then the implementation order, which file in which order and why. And then it has a rollback plan. So in case something doesn't work, how do we roll back to the previous version? So how to undo this clearly if the change is wrong. So if something happens and it's wrong, it can quickly roll back to the previous version. And then finally, it's going to have a review checklist. So what the second pass review will look for, to just review all of this. So this is what you hand to a junior developer. Now Claude produces it for free. So normally a junior developer will be the one to write this plan and everything, but now Claude does this for you for free, right? So like I said, there are two stages of review. The first stage is the surface review, in which look for obvious bugs like typing mismatches, errors, broken things in the code. And then stage 2 looks for race conditions. It looks for those edge cases. It looks for security implementations. Some code might work, but can be exploited, right? That's just like codes that work, but you shouldn't ship because that is a vulnerability in that code. Yes, it works, but if a hacker gets access to this, it can do this and this. So that's why the first and second stage pass is very important. So you see why Superpowers is one of the best skills out there. The other skill, I'm just giving you something that's working, but the AI didn't get to think thoroughly all the potential use cases and edge cases. So this second stage is what catches the things you miss reading your own code at midnight. That's the gap between a developer and a senior developer. So the stage 2 is what a senior developer does, right? So when do you use Superpowers? Always with one exception, right? You use it on any code change that's going to a real code base. Anything that you know that real users are going to use, Superpowers is the best for you. Any feature that you eventually ship to a client, Superpowers is the best for you. At any task where working once isn't enough, right? You skip it only if you're using a throwaway script or you're just exploring or let me see if this is possible prototypes. That's when you can skip super base. But if you actually put in something that's going to be in production used by real people, then you need a skill that looks at all the sides, looks at the use cases, looks at the edge cases, looks at the vulnerability, the security implementations before writing a single line of code. That's what distinguishes a normal Claude code and a Claude code with superpowers, literally. So, like I said, we're going to talk about get shit done at context mode in the next class. And then we're going to talk about other things, right? I'm going to explain what context growth is. I'm going to explain a lot of things. This is full packed with a lot of, value, right? So for now, I'm just going to leave you guys with the superpowers so you can also, try it out, build a plan with it, and then we come back to the next Friday to continue where we stop. So yeah, that's it, guys, for now. I really enjoyed this even more than you. I hope I was able to respect your time. The moment you have this in your pocket, the moment you understand how this works, game changer. You're able to build anything and everything, just with a little conversation. So yeah, guys, I'm going to leave you all with this. I can see a lot of reactions there. I really appreciate you guys. I hope I've been able to pass some knowledge over. Let's create some amazing things together. Okay. Awesome. Manoj, probably you still recording and we'll get everything ready for you guys. For those of you interested in joining the Slack channel, because the Slack channel, we're going to be doing builds every single day. We're going to be having conversations every single day. I'm going to send a link over so you guys can check that out. We only put this for specific people, for people that really, really want to take this to the next level, right? Because we know they're going to be consumers